What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Macho Movie Madness.
Oh, yeah.
I am Brandon. Alongside me always is Andrew, and today we're just going to get right into it. This is a little bit different. This is not a Why We Love. This is not a Warehouse B. This is not a Versus. This is, I don't know if it's our first one, but very rarely done a movie review.
Yeah.
A brand new movie that just came out. So yeah, we're going to talk Twisters today. And Twisters being they call it kind of a sequel, but it's not really a sequel to the first movie.
No.
I don't know if they call it a requel or however they would word that, reboot, I don't know. But I've been looking forward to a sequel to Twisters for many, many, many years.
Yes, he has.
I love Twisters. Anybody who knows me, Twister is one of my favorite movies of all time. On my Smith's Grove channel, I even did one of my reviews. I took a break from Halloween to last summer to do a review of Twister because I've seen that movie literally 1 million times. Not even exaggerating. Yeah, one of my favorites, man. So I've been looking forward to this for a long time. And unfortunately, we didn't get a proper sequel. Bill Paxton passed away several years ago, and so did Philip Seymour Hoffman. So we didn't really get what we were looking for. I think Bill Paxton tried to get one off the ground for a long time and just never happened. But he was a lover of weather and nature and all kinds of things. Just a very interesting guy. And he had been so entwined in all of that that the Storm Chasers show that was led by, that kind of spotlighted Sean Casey, who was an IMAX director, in an IMAX film that Bill Paxton, when he released it in IMAX, Bill Paxton narrated the movie.
Oh, wow.
When Bill Paxton died, and I mentioned this in my review, when Bill Paxton died, all those spotters in their GPS, they on their GPS locations on the GPS map, basically marked their position across the plains through several different states to spell out BP, and you can go on Google and see that. But that was really cool in tribute to him, because so many chasers today are chasers and meteorologists because of Twister, because of Bill Paxton. So very, very cool. You know, this movie here, just before we get right into it, it's not going to have that impact, at least as far as I know. But that said, it was very good.
It's a fun movie, man.
Had a very, very good time. I'm proud that this movie brought in so many people, and even in our small area, all of our theaters were full.
Yeah.
Our drive-in, for the first time, not many drive-ins exist anymore. For the first time in I don't know how long, the drive-in was so packed they had to turn people away.
They
had to park up the hill and they could bring their chairs down.
In a day when the theater's dying.
In a day when the theater's dying, and the drive-ins are halfway dead anyway. But we had in the theater we ended up going to. We went to an indoor theater just to town over. Andrew and I did, and our partners, women partners.
Thanks for that.
Our significant others. We all double dated basically, and they opened their fifth theater. It's a party room. It's basically it's only for party,
like a dinner theater. Yeah.
Yeah. You got a big bar and really comfy ass roller chairs. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So they actually opened that up to get the rest of us in. And they had 2 showings that night, and that was incredible. That was the first week. It was the second night, or second or third night.
Yeah,
it was open. So very, very proud of that. These people should be proud of that, man, for real. This was awesome. It's a good theater experience. Some of the early reviews were saying that it was the best theater experience since Top Gun Maverick, and I would be inclined to agree with them. I went to theaters and watched Top Gun. In fact, I saw Top Gun in the drive-in, and it was incredible. It was an incredible movie. It was a good experience, and that's what people like us live for. Or that's maybe that's dramatic, but we're cinephiles. So when we get a good, strong movie like this, it's that fun. It's like those summer blockbusters. That's what we crave.
Very rarely do you walk out of a movie anymore on a movie high. Like
yes,
I remember as a teenage kid, just driving, in the 90s and stuff, and going to the movies and coming out like, man, that makes me feel 10 foot tall watching
right.
that. And this movie
Wow.
had that.
This movie had that. Top Gun Maverick had that. You know, there a few of the early Marvel movies did have that. But you know, then it just become too much, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this kind of harkens back to the old days. I was really, really impressed. So you know what, let's start out just basically real quick. Story wise, and I guess maybe we can avoid spoilers in this because it's still relatively new. It's only like 2 weeks out. So we'll just avoid spoilers for now. The best we can anyway. So there's a young team. The movie opens up with a young team, and the main character, played by I have her name here, Daisy Edgar-Jones. She plays Kate, and she's developed this new science experiment basically to see if she can kill a twister, if she can disrupt the pattern in the airflow in the twister, basically with what the hell was it?
Basically, the innards of a diaper. Like,
yeah, sodium polycyclate, cryolate. I don't know. It's something like that. But basically, if you could get it up into the twister, that it would kill, basically destabilize it or stabilize the whatever you want to say it, and it would dissipate.
Take the moisture out of it.
Maybe something like that. It would dissipate and it would weaken the tornado and almost maybe even just kill it in its tracks. Because it takes like the way tornadoes are formed, it takes a very, very perfect thing in order to get this to even touch the ground. It's a very, very hard thing to do for the weather to do anyway, even though it seems like it's not. And to keep it on the ground and to keep it, it's you know, it's got to be. So I kind of get where they were going with it. It seems pretty crazy, especially towards the end. But anyway, that was their job, and they're just very amateur. They're very young. Things go wrong. When things go wrong, she kind of quits and goes to New York. And one of the old members, Javi, played by Anthony Ramos, who I've seen for the first time in Transformers Rise of the Beast from last year or whatever it was, like a year or two ago. He finds her and he says he went to the military and he cleaned his act up, and he's got this technology now where they can do 3D scans of the tornadoes. They can set up these things around the perimeter of the tornado and get better accurate readings, and they're being funded by this dude, and he needs her to get back in the field. And there you go. She goes back to Oklahoma where she grew up, and that's it. And that's when she meets Glenn Powell's character,
Tyler.
Yes. Tyler Owens. And he is a crazy
YouTuber.
He's not so much Reed Timmer. He's not Reed Timmer, because Reed Timmer is just kind of extreme weather. These guys are just wild. They're radical. They drive into tornadoes. They shoot fireworks up into them. It's insane. It's the craziest thing ever. It's ridiculous, but it's funny. And for some reason, as goofy as that sounds, it works.
Yeah,
it works for the movie. And of course, you know, she's hesitant because she's scared of what happened, and I won't give away what happened. You can probably assess what happens to her team. Anyway, yeah, and it just basically that. And I like the way the plot changes from, because they kind of start out with Tyler's team being the jokesters. They're not the serious team. You know, they're not the serious team. They're just a bunch of goofballs and a bunch of YouTubers. They should be taken seriously. They're almost like kind of the antagonists in a way.
Yeah.
Starting out, I mean, you could say, and because you have this brief history with Kate and Javi and what happened with them, you know, you want to side with Kate and you want to side with Javi and you want to side with their goal. But you come to find out the people who are funding them don't have their best interests, and they're not very good people. And then you also figure out, you know, what Tyler's team's doing and how they're helping people. It's more than just YouTube. Like, they're actually using their YouTube money to help with food and stuff. Like, so they're really good people.
Yeah.
Not to mention just being just wild. They're the Doc Browns of storm chasing. They're wild-eyed, just crazy. Then that's
one of the things I loved about this movie is in wrestling, we're both wrestling fans. They call that a double turn.
Yes.
When you basically, whenever you've got these people you think are good that end up bad, and the guys that are the antagonists that end up good. That's one of the things about this movie I just absolutely adored.
Yes, absolutely. I loved it. And the payoff was fairly quick too. because they went to a town where they had their little chase, and it was kind of successful in some ends and other ends. Like for Tyler's team, it didn't work out, but hers it did. But then they end up kind of intersecting back in this town that when it turned, it hit and it devastated the town, or at least a portion of the town. And by the time they got there, Tyler's team was already set up and selling their shirts out of their, which looked very bad. And she called him out. Yeah. And he just kind of shook his head, like, and smiled, but nothing else was said. And it was a short time later that the girl with the dreads, Lily, I'll get it here in just a second. But she came up to her and said, here's some food you haven't eaten. Trying to help Kate. And she's like, no, it's okay. You should whatever. And she's like, oh, why do you think we sell the t-shirts? Because she said something about food, like price or whatever. She's like, no, it's free. Just take it. We're giving this food away. Why do you think we sell the t-shirts? And that's when you kind of start to realize that this team's a little bit deeper than, they're out there shooting fireworks at a tornado. It's pretty insane. But you also get the sense that this team really means well too.
Yeah.
And they know what they're doing despite the fact that they look insane. I think it's so funny. Like some of them just seem so out of place for a mid-Oklahoma team of storm chasers. It's just not something you normally see. Like the girl with the dreads, she looked like a meth head. I'm sorry to say, she just looked like a damn meth head. I'm like, she is so fucking out of place here. It's the weirdest thing ever. Really, I don't need to give away any more of the plot. Everybody just needs to go watch that. There's a bonding experience between Scott, Kate, and Tyler, and obviously Glenn Powell, the bread and butter of this movie. He's going to
be the new it guy after this.
He was in Top Gun Maverick too. He's a really good looking, well built dude. He's a good actor. I think he stole the show.
Yeah.
He was 100%. He wasn't billed. He was billed second behind Daisy, but he is the star.
Yeah.
And Daisy did okay, but
she's got all these insecurities, and you've got this movie where terrible stuff happens. But when he comes into the scene, he kind of lights it up.
He just lightens it up, man. And he's a little bit deeper of a character too, but he's less serious than Bill Paxton was as Bill, but he has that. But I think he has a good presence about him for that kind of character in one of these movies.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
I want to see him in just a full on action movie.
Yeah, I would like that too.
Yeah,
for sure. Like a Jack Reacher type movie or something, maybe espionage or something.
Yeah. Now that the
True Lies
stuff's kind of dying out, and you don't got to worry about him being, it's crazy Marvel character.
That actually would be a really good role for him, like a True Lies type movie.
Yeah,
something with comedy and action. I think he would be really good in that role. There was the guy actually who played one of Hobby's men, that he was kind of Scott, David Cornsweet. He's actually going to be the new Superman next year.
Okay. Yeah, he was the guy with the attitude.
Yeah, the one he dumped at the end. Yeah.
The guy I really liked was Boone.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, tell him what that you said to me. You leaned over in the theater. So you should just tell him.
We're watching the movie, and I looked at and the way this guy plays it, it's dead on. I looked at Brandon, and I said, he's Hispanic Matthew McConaughey.
100%. And once you hear it, you cannot see it the same way, because everything he said, I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. And it just got worse and worse. I don't think the sound, I've seen some of the soundtrack. Soundtrack's good. I don't think it's as strong as the first movie, but I'm biased probably.
He had a lot of good raucous country on it though, like when they drive into a tornado.
Yeah. New Luke Combs' new song. I'm trying to think of everybody, the side characters, even though some of them look like meth heads, I think the side characters worked out fairly well. A couple of them are out of place, but nothing has the feel of the first Twister movie, man. That storm chasing team, there's just nothing like that dynamic there. There's not. That was an overall just crazy fun movie. It was a crazy dialogue. Like I said, Boone stands out. I like Boone. Hobby's okay.
The mom, what's her name? Linda, is it Florentine or Flora? Something. She was the mom in the Iron Claw.
Yeah, Mora Tierney.
Oh,
She
that's
was
what it
also
is.
she's also the mom / ex-wife of Jim Carrey in Liar Liar.
Liar, liar. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I really like
Yeah,
her as an actress. I think her
yeah.
mouth is funny looking.
She's had work done. I think
She
she's
said,
goofed it up.
yeah, it's awful. But I really like. I won't get into spoiler territory, but that whole part between the second and third act where Tyler comes to her house after she kind of has her breakdown and they bond there.
Yeah,
Usually that would kill a movie like dead in its tracks, but I thought that there's a lot of heart there.
there was, and the mom helped with that too, kind
Yeah.
of forcing that to happen. That was a good dynamic. So I didn't mention the director of this film. It's Lee Isaac Chung. That's
Everybody Wing Chung tonight.
Everybody Wing Chung tonight. I don't know if he's done anything else. He obviously has, but I don't know if it's anything big. The screenplay was by Mark L. Smith, who did The Revenant and The Midnight Sky. The Joseph Kosinski the story was based off his. He's the one that has directed Tron Legacy. He directed Oblivion, and he did Top Gun Maverick. So, and he was tied to this just as far as story goes. So, you get a sense of the big overalls, like
epic scope.
That's why. That's why. Probably because of him. Do we want to rate this thing?
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and rate it. You want to do out of 5 like normal?
Yeah. What are you thinking?
I'm going to give it a solid 4. Maybe 3.8 to 4.
That's what I'm thinking. I don't think it's quite a 4. There were some things in this. There's a scene at a refinery that we hadn't really talked about. I won't get into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you want me to get into it and kind of a con?
You can just really quickly. Yeah, that's fine.
So yeah, they're driving by. They're chasing this tornado.
Spoiler alert for people.
Yeah, it goes by this refinery, and I think the whole scene was just there so you could have a fire tornado. And
yeah.
I rolled my eyes at that scene because a place like that, a refinery, would have its own exit. It wouldn't be right beside a main road where people could just drive by it and do whatever. And that brought the movie down a little. There were some things where they were in peril. A couple of different times I was like, ugh.
There was a few things that I rolled my eyes on too. I mean, and you can go back and watch the first Twister and you'd be like, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah.
It just, everything else is so good and so fun in that movie. You really can kind of forgive it. Being the 90s especially too.
Yeah.
But nowadays it's harder. The thing is though, I also grade these disaster movies, these tornado movies. There's just not a lot of them. I grade them just how I watched Into the Storm actually just recently again for the first time since it came out in 2014 or whatever. And some of the tornadoes look good in that movie, CGI wise. It was just over the top.
Yeah.
It just didn't have the great feel. I think they had a fire tornado in that one too. There's a lot of death. It was just crazy, over the top. And I think there were scenes in this movie that were crazy and obviously very unrealistic, but not near as egregious as Into the Storm.
Okay.
And really on the level of the first Twister, not any more egregious than the first Twister.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're outrunning the EF5 and and you're outrunning the EF5 and you've anchored down by belts to some pipes in a shed in a water well, and there's some and it's no different than her driving into that damn thing at the end.
Yeah.
It just this is some goofy shit.
Yeah.
But it overall, I can forgive most of it just because it's a really well put together film and it's a fun and it had, at least you had something for everybody in this film.
Yeah.
You had funny, you had action, you had death, you had not quite as much horror as the first one brought, because I don't think the score was a little bit more horror centric in the first one when it came to the tornadoes. I don't think that atmosphere was quite the same way, other than maybe the rodeo scene.
Yeah, that was great.
Which was really great.
The CGI in this movie is something to behold for the most part.
For the most part, most of the tornadoes look good, especially the small ones. The big ones in places, but the small ones really looked good.
But when it ripped through that rodeo arena, that was great.
That was really great. Yeah, there's a lot of good shit in there. and like I think the biggest eye roll scene I had was probably at the end with that El Reno one, just because it was sucking things through the town that before it even got there that we probably shouldn't have just quite yet. Things were starting to collapse and get kind of crazy, like a Universal ride, a little too early probably. And of course, we're driving into it. I was like, well, this is convenient.
I did like that though, that everything was convenient, was not conveniently, but cleverly set up to where there was a good payoff at the end.
Yeah. I mean, and it was a nice kind of, what do you call it? Not so much fourth wall break. I thought it was interesting that we had another theater scene. Yeah. In the first movie, you had the drive-in ripping the screen. In this one, you have the theater. Spoiler alert! You're ripping the screen out from them, and they're trying to hide in the theater. I thought that was cool, and us being in the theater at the time, that would have been perfect to be in one of those 4D theaters, dude.
Yeah.
To have crap just blowing everywhere on you while the screen gets sucked out. I thought that'd been cool. But anyway, very, very cool experience. I don't think there's any more cons right now that I can mention. I hate to get into too many pros. We've covered most of them. I like the locations used. They shot on location in Oklahoma a few times, I think, for a few things, which is cool.
But yeah, I think we're getting ready to rate it earlier before I started going into cons.
Go ahead. Oh well, I said 3.8 to 4.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it's the best movie I've seen so far this year.
Yeah,
I'd give it 3 3/4, high like 3.8. I don't think it's quite a 4. I think there's a few egregious things, but I really enjoyed it for the most part, and it was a lot of fun.
It's a very solid 3.8. Like, it's not, that's nothing to scoff at. It's a very, very good movie. And that's just because of some of the crazy egregious things that I would see as somebody who pays attention to storm chasing and tornadoes, and also just movies in general and how crazy they are. But I will say that I didn't find anything, like I said, Tyler's team is just not something you would normally see in a Storm Chasers group, I don't feel like. But there was no gaga, there was no political or what's the word I'm looking for? Woke. Damn it. Woke, inclusive. There was none of that kind of jargon. It was just crazy things that they didn't bring. There was nothing that they brought attention to, even though the one chick looked like a meth head. There was just nothing crazy egregious in that scope.
No.
You could just focus on having a good, fun summer blockbuster movie.
Yeah.
Just like Top Gun. I commend it for that. And that means a lot to me. And I'm happy to see it's doing what it's doing. If Wikipedia is right, and that's all I got pulled up here, it's an hour, it's 122 minutes long, so it's just a touch over 2 hours. It's not bad. It doesn't feel too long. It's about right for this kind of movie. It came in at $155 million budget, and the box office is currently sitting at 163, if that's even accurate. That's after the second week, though. So we'll see. I look for it to double its money, or pretty close, because it's only the beginning. Yeah. But you also got Deadpool and other things coming. We'll see how it does. But it's worth going to watch. It's a solid movie. It's very much worth going to the theater and spending your money for it. I'm going to buy it, physical, digital, whatever, when it comes out, 100%.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, not without spoiling anything.
Okay.
I thought it was solid, and I'm glad we all went.
Okay, so we're gonna wrap it up. I hope you guys check out Twisters if you have already. Be sure to like this video, leave us a comment, let us know what you thought of Twisters. We'd really like to know that. So until next time, we got an Alien review coming up one of these days when it comes out. We've got Deadpool and Wolverine we got to go watch. We got some cool verses and Warehouse Beasts coming up, so be sure to check those out. We're going to get this out at the time of this recording. We're going to get this out as soon as we possibly can, because we know it's brand new. So Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
We're out of here.